Michelangelo di Ludovico Buonarroti Simoni, known to the world simply as Michelangelo, was a towering figure of the Italian High Renaissance. Born on March 6, 1475, in Caprese, a small town near Arezzo, his destiny was inextricably linked with the cultural and political heart of Tuscany, Florence Torts. He was a sculptor, painter, architect, and poet, a true Renaissance man whose versatility was matched only by the sheer scale and power of his creations. His father, a local government administrator, initially opposed his son's artistic ambitions, considering the profession to be beneath their family status. Despite this, the young Michelangelo's passion was undeniable, and at the age of 13, he was apprenticed to the painter Domenico Ghirlandaio in Florence. This formal training provided him with a solid foundation in the techniques of fresco, a medium he would later revolutionize. His prodigious talent soon caught the eye of Florence's de facto ruler, Lorenzo de' Medici, the Magnificent. Michelangelo was invited to live in the Medici household, an experience that profoundly shaped his intellectual and artistic development. There, he was exposed to the city's elite circle of poets, scholars, and humanists, absorbing Neoplatonic philosophy and studying the Medici family's vast collection of ancient Roman sculpture. His earliest known sculptures, the Madonna of the Stairs and the Battle of the Centaurs, created when he was just a teenager, already showcased his extraordinary ability to carve marble. The Battle of the Centaurs in particular, with its chaotic tangle of powerful, nude bodies, foreshadowed his lifelong obsession with the human form. Following the death of Lorenzo de' Medici and the subsequent political turmoil in Florence, Michelangelo moved to Rome. It was in the Eternal City that he carved the Pietà, a work of such breathtaking beauty and technical perfection that it established him as one of the greatest sculptors of his time. Commissioned by a French cardinal, the sculpture depicts the Virgin Mary mourning over the body of her son, Jesus. The youthfulness of Mary's face, a subject of contemporary debate, was explained by Michelangelo as a symbol of her incorruptible purity. When the work was first unveiled, some observers attributed it to another sculptor, refusing to believe such a masterpiece could be the work of a young man. In a fit of pride and frustration, Michelangelo secretly entered the chapel one night and carved his name onto the sash across the Virgin's chest. It was the only work he ever signed. Upon his return to Florence in 1501, he was given a challenge that would define his career and the spirit of the city, the David Genovie. He was tasked with creating a statue from a gigantic block of Carrara marble that had been abandoned for decades, deemed too flawed and difficult to work by other artists. Michelangelo, however, saw not an impediment, but a figure trapped within the stone, waiting to be liberated. For over 2 years, he worked in secrecy, his hammer and chisel ringing out as he brought the biblical hero to life. The resulting statue of David was unlike any before it. Instead of showing the triumphant hero after his victory over Goliath, Michelangelo chose to depict David in the tense moments before the battle. His body is a marvel of anatomical precision, a testament to Michelangelo's deep understanding of the human form. Yet, it is imbued with a divine, idealized beauty. The statue's intense gaze and coiled energy became a powerful symbol for the Republic of Florence, a small city-state surrounded by powerful rivals. In 1505, Michelangelo was summoned back to Rome by the ambitious and formidable Pope Julius II. The Pope commissioned him to build a magnificent tomb for him, a project that would become the artist's greatest frustration. The tomb project was repeatedly interrupted and scaled down, plaguing Michelangelo for 40 years and never being completed to his original grand design. During one of these interruptions, Pope Julius II gave Michelangelo a new, unwanted commission to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Michelangelo protested vehemently, declaring, "I am a sculptor, not a painter." But the Pope was insistent, And Michelangelo, unable to refuse, began the monumental task in 1508. He designed his own innovative scaffolding, a curved platform that allowed him to work directly beneath the vaulted surface. For 4 grueling years, he lay on his back, paint dripping into his eyes, as he covered over 500 square meters of ceiling with frescoes. The result was one of the supreme achievements of Western art, a complex and harmonious composition of over 300 figures. The central spine of the ceiling features 9 scenes from the Book of Genesis, from the creation of the world to the drunkenness of Noah. The most iconic of these is the creation of Adam, where the hands of God and Adam reach towards each other, almost touching. This single image has become a universal symbol of the spark of life and divine creation. Surrounding the central scenes are powerful depictions of the prophets and the sibyls, who foretold the coming of the Messiah. Each figure is a masterpiece of characterization, their bodies twisting with inner turmoil and divine knowledge. In the spandrels and lunettes, he painted the ancestors of Christ, and at the 4 corners, dramatic scenes of salvation. The entire work is held together by the Gemovie, 20 athletic, nude male figures that frame the central scenes. When the ceiling was finally unveiled in 1512, it changed the course of art forever. The dynamic compositions, the sculptural quality of the figures, and the vibrant use of color were a revelation. After completing the ceiling, Michelangelo returned to Florence to work for the Medici family again, this time as an architect. He designed the Medici Chapel, a mausoleum for members of the powerful dynasty. For the tombs, he carved the famous allegorical figures of night and day, and dusk and dawn. These reclining figures are masterpieces of psychological expression, their twisting poses conveying deep melancholy and the heavy weight of time. He also designed the Laurentian Library, a revolutionary work of architecture, especially its vestibule with its seemingly cascading staircase. Decades after finishing the ceiling, a now elderly Michelangelo was called back to the Sistine Chapel for one final, terrifying task. He was commissioned to paint the Last Judgment on the altar wall, a task that would consume him from 1536 to 1541. This fresco is a stark contrast to the hopeful, ordered classicism of the ceiling. The Last Judgment is a swirling, tumultuous vortex of humanity, centered on a powerful, muscular Christ acting as the final judge. The saved rise on his right, while the damned are dragged down into hell by demons on his left. A fig leaf campaign was launched after Michelangelo's death to cover the genitalia with painted drapery. In a darkly humorous touch, Michelangelo painted his own self-portrait in the flayed skin held by Saint Bartholomew. This self-portrait is often interpreted as a confession of his guilt and weariness, a reflection of his tormented faith. In his later years, Michelangelo focused almost exclusively on architecture and poetry. In 1497, he was appointed chief architect of St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, the most important commission in Christendom. He returned to Bramante's original Greek cross plan, but simplified and strengthened the design, creating a more unified and powerful structure. His greatest contribution to the project was his design for its magnificent dome. Though it was completed after his death, the dome remains a landmark of the Roman skyline and a triumph of Renaissance engineering. Michelangelo's personality was as intense and formidable as his art. He was known to be solitary, melancholic, and quick to anger, a man who lived for his work. He was never married and had few close friends, though he maintained a deep and spiritual friendship with the noblewoman and poet Vittoria Colonna. His poetry, mostly sonnets, reveals a man of deep religious conviction, wrestling with his faith, his art, and his own mortality. He had a famous rivalry with the younger, more sociable painter, Raphael, whose graceful and harmonious style stood in stark contrast to Michelangelo's terribilità. His body was secretly taken from Rome back to his beloved Florence, where he was buried with great honor in the Basilica of Santa Croce. His legacy is immeasurable. He not only produced some of the world's greatest art, but also elevated the status of the artist from a mere craftsman to a divine creator. The term Il Divino, the Divine One, was used to describe him in his own lifetime, a title that has resonated through the centuries. His powerful, expressive style gave rise to mannerism and laid the groundwork for the Baroque, influencing countless artists for generations to come. To gaze upon a work by Michelangelo is to witness the sublime, to feel the raw power of human genius wrestling with the divine. He was a man who saw angels in the marble and carved until he set them free.